Greetings everybody and welcome to Madrid Ball. I hope you all are safe and sound. In today's video, we will be discussing the latest news related to Real Madrid. We have news related to Ferland Mendy, he's back in training. We'll then talk about the injury status of Eden Hazard and Toni Kroos. Vinicius Junior also happens to be on the agenda. And finally, we'll wrap things up with a few thoughts from the game against Rangers. So we have a lot to discuss and let's get started. Starting with Carlo Mendy, as you can see in these pictures, Mendy has been training alone at the Veldabebas, and it's very much evident that he has lost a lot of muscle mass in the recovery process. He looks lean and skinny. At first sight of these pictures, it looked like Mendy had significantly weakened, and with just 10 days remaining, Mendy is facing a big challenge to regain prime fitness before the start of the season. And talking about the circumstance, it is really unfortunate that Mendy has been suffering for so long. He picked up the injury in the second leg against Chelsea, and there are reports suggesting that he had forced himself to rush back for Champions League action. So definitely that wasn't a great decision, firstly on the part of Mendy, secondly on the part of the medical services who gave him the green light in the first place, and what a costly mistake it turned out to be. He ended up with tibial parastosis. It's an injury which is caused by irritation and inflammation of muscles, tendons and bones of the lower leg, and you could see the injury has taken a toll on Mendy. So it's very important that Mendy stays on the right track and speeds up his recovery process, because Mendy is a fundamental part of our defense, and in the meanwhile we shall continue to see Marcelo and Miguel fill up for Mendy. He is expected to return by September, and Real Madrid will have to play the first few games of the season without their first choice left back. But moving on to the next player on the agenda, which happens to be Eden Hazard, a player with whom we all have immense expectations, but for the past 2 years it would be fair to say that Hazard has failed to impress even the most staunch Eden Hazard supporters. Anyways, it does seem that he will be handed another chance to salvage glory. He would be handed another chance to revive his career, and the pictures coming out do give us some positivity. He looks much better, he looks much fitter compared to the previous occasions when he returned unfit after the summer break, and this certainly is the way to get things off on the right track. Marca, however, are claiming that Real Madrid are still going to be very cautious with Eden Hazard. If you remember, Eden Hazard did pick up an injury during the final stages of the Euros, and that is why Real Madrid are not taking any chances with Eden Hazard. He won't at all be rushed back, and definitely this is the make or break season for Hazard. There is huge pressure on him. He has to deliver for the team, for the club, for the fans, and seeing that there is a chance that we may not sign a lethal striker this season, Eden Hazard has to chip in with goals as well. We want Hazard to take responsibility, and hopefully we will get to see Hazard playing at a good level, because make no mistake about this, prime Hazard is a joy to watch, but will we get to see this version of Hazard, or even this version of Hazard? Only time shall reveal that. But moving on to the next topic, which happens to be another injury issue to one of our midfield maestros, and news like these during the preseason stage is never good to hear. It's like the curse of the previous season is still hanging above Real Madrid. Yesterday, it was confirmed by the club that Kroos has suffered from pubalgia, which happens to be a groin injury with a slow recovery process, and the initial reports coming out suggest that he will be out for a period of 6 weeks. Toni Kroos is a crucial player for our side, and he also happens to be one of the players who's always available for selection. In the past 7 years, he has missed very few matches, and talking about the injury, it is a bit complicated issue to deal with. In the past, we have seen Kaká also had similar issues. He had opted for conservative treatment, and he failed to replicate his Milan form with Real Madrid. However, we have seen Sergio Ramos having similar issues in the past, and he responded well to such conservative treatment. So we'll have to see how the recovery of Kroos evolves, or will there be a case where surgery would be required? We'll have to wait for more information on this. But in the meanwhile, the big question is, how can Real Madrid set up in the absence of Kroos? And we do have a few solutions. The straightforward thing to do would be using Modric in his position. We may see the trio of Valverde, Casemiro and Modric. Modric, as we know, does not have any problem playing the left midfield role. We have seen in the previous season he played in that position quite comfortably, and here the versatility of Modric should come in handy for Real Madrid. The other option would be to use Isco in that position. He can also play in that position, but if you ask me, I will be more inclined towards using the midfield three of Modric, Casemiro and Valverde. Moving on, if we come to the final topic of the day, which happens to be Vinicius Junior, there was a very interesting article that was published by Marca yesterday, and they claim that Carlo Ancelotti aims to build his side around Vinicius Junior. They further go on to mention that Vinicius is one of the few players that Real Madrid do not consider letting go, and the club believes that in his 4th season with the Los Blancos, he's ready to be a crucial member of the starting 11. And talking about the previous season of Vinicius Junior, we all can agree he did not take the step up that we all were expecting to see. He had his good moments, the goal against Liverpool, the performance against Atalanta, but there were many games where he was frustrating to watch, and it's not like he wasn't given chances. As a youngster, I do think that he got more than what he had bargained for, but overall, he still needs to improve on his decision making, his finishing in front of goal, and having a look at his stats from the previous season in La Liga, he got 3 goals and 3 assists from 35 games, and honestly, that's not good enough for Real Madrid forward. He is young, and yes, he has the right to make mistakes, but what we want from Vinicius is signs of progress. The pace that he has, the direct style that he is capable of showing can create panic in any defense, but in order to be a great player, he has to become much more consistent. He has to be much more decisive in front of goal, and now that he has the experience of playing at the biggest club in the world for the past 3 years, he has to show signs that he can develop into a world-class player. So let's hope the young Brazilian shows some good bit of progress under Carlo Ancelotti. He will get his chance, he will get his minutes, and hopefully we the fans will get some crucial goals from Vinicius Junior. And wrapping up this video, let's do a bit of discussion on the game against Rangers and what can we say about the game. It was not at all a convincing performance by Real Madrid. We were second best in the game, but I honestly don't know how much we should look into that game. Real Madrid were dominated by Rangers, but a fair argument can be made saying that Rangers were in the advanced stages of the pre-season preparation, and we on the other hand were playing our first game in ages. So it's quite natural that the players would have been a bit rusty. However, I was a bit disappointed with the performance of few players. Nacho obviously got a red card, that too in a friendly, but with Jovic, I was expecting a little bit more. He barely got a touch on the ball. Isco was disappointing as well. The only 3 players who came out with much credit were Rodrigo, Odegaard and Lunin. So yes, it wasn't the best display from Real Madrid. You expect much more, but it's also rational at this point that Real Madrid will get a few bumps down the road. Carlo Ancelotti will need some time to find out his best tactics, the best formation, and hopefully we will see a better display when Real Madrid take on AC Milan on the 8th. Carlo Ancelotti will have a better squad then. All the players have returned from vacation, and we will need a strong performance here because this is going to be the final match before La Liga commences. So let's see how things will work out. We will do the analysis of the game, but in the meantime, do let me know your thoughts on the topics discussed in the video. I'll see you soon. Till then, take care, glory to Madrid, and as always, a la Madrid!